Hey YouTube world, welcome back. Thank you, Esty here, bringing you guys another guide. Just trying to help the Misfits out with some of these bosses. People keep asking me for a Reva guide. Here we are. For the purposes of this video, I decided not to go with max difficulty Reva because I don't think it's really gonna prove the point and demonstrate what I'm trying to teach you guys. That being said, I don't think the Reva level matters. The whole point and the main difficulty that I think I see a lot of people have in common is the diagonal attacks, right? Esty, how do we dodge the diagonal attacks? What's going on here? I can't think that fast. So I'm here really just to home in on that and give you guys some tips and tricks to really not fear them as much, or just give you some more clarity of what's going on. And if some of these tips can pop in your head while you're playing, and even help you one or two times, you're going to notice a huge increase in skill and taking less damage. I will try to also point out some of the main differences of the high level Reva and some of the additional attacks. It's just a lot of it is also deck dependent. Like, you need to be able to hit the back line to deal with the people that she summons and things like that. And I don't really want to go over deck building and all that stuff, so I really just want to help you with the diagonal attacks and some of her patterns like that. Keep in mind that this will also help you with those scary enemies that throw the diagonal attacks during your battles when you have to deal with other people as well, which could be a huge threat. And all the logic that I give you guys in this guide, you could also bring to your hallway fights and fighting the diagonal dudes. I don't actually know their name in those battles as well. So I hope this helps you guys. Let me know down in the comments below. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff if you enjoy the content. And if not, don't worry about it. Thank you for taking the time to check this video out. See you guys soon, all right? Alrighty guys, let's get started with our guide for Reva. And mainly, she can be very sporadic and not as consistent as the other bosses as far as her attack patterns, because you don't know where she's going to go when she decides to throw the diagonal attacks at you. So with this fight, it's more about reaction, but I'm going to give you the little tips and tricks and things to look out for when she does throw those diagonal attacks to make them a little bit more easy. A lot of these are going to be common sense, but they need to be said and they need to be heard for it to really home in on you, because it wasn't until I really told myself the concepts and really the limits of these diagonal attacks where I really started to understand, especially in a battle where you're panicking, the few little tricks that really helped me. So I hope they help you guys as well. Here I'm just going to run through my deck real quick just so you guys can see if you're just out of curiosity. But here we go. So you can see with the Reva opening, we just deal as much damage as possible. I believe we get close to like 400 damage out on her before she even gets to do anything. You can see she's summoning people on the back line. Again, this is going to be, and not what I want to home in on, but this is also going to be catered to like how you form your deck, like how you could deal with the back line. Luckily we have a firewall here and we have a couple beams, so we can hit the back line. Otherwise you're just gonna have to try to get attacks back there. Most of the time even a well-placed thunder or something like that will do most of the job for you, but it is something that you want to mitigate. You don't want people gathering up back there, so if you can take them out, I highly suggest it. But again, that's going to be dependent on your deck. You just need to be able to take them out. I can't tell you how to do it. So I'm going to try to focus on Reva here, even though we have the enemies at the back line that we do have to consider as well. All right, so she went to pull us in, and she's going to do her, let's see, we'll call it a grand slam, ground pound, something like that, where she sends out these like seismic waves at you. Well, this is actually the attack that I want her to do. This is one of the best attacks for us. It's just very consistent. It's always the same, and we can deal a lot of damage. She doesn't move. These are great attacks. So we're going to see it play out here. She goes for the slam. We're just going to wait for the tile to come at us, and then we move forward once the tile has actually popped up. Once it pops up, we can move forward, and we do it again here. What's is really cool is we're also dealing with the back line here. So something to keep in mind is this guy attacks 2 tiles wide, and so we do have to cater to that and move downward. We don't have a direct attack here to get to the back line, so we're just going to keep dealing damage to her. You can also see I just moved down out of the way, nothing too crazy here, and I move forward. So again, the trick here is not to panic. You're really just worrying about Reva's attack and the seismic waves coming at you. This guy's just going to keep attacking in the straight line, so once I know he's up here, we're free to move down here and just keep dodging the attack. So she does the seismic wave twice. She tries to pull us in, double seismic wave. We move forward, do some more damage when we can, Move forward again, and that's it. Just keep doing damage there. That's the attack. Nothing too special, you just have to get used to it. But really, that's the attack that you want her to do. Alright, here comes her, like, parry move, if you will. She's trying to parry our attacks. With this trick, it's pretty easy to dodge once you know what's going on. So she's going to toss these into the air, these red orbs, and then she's going to go try to catch them. Once she catches them, she's going to shoot a 2-tile wide beam at you. So the way this works is, I tend to go to the front. So this will give me more time once the tile passes where I can run before the next one. So I like to actually stand maybe the second column from the front, maybe third column from the front. I don't like to stand all the way in the back for this attack. I find that it gives me a lot more opening and a lot more time once one passes by. Where if you're in the back row, you have to wait until the attack comes all the way to the back row before you can maneuver downward, and she's already shooting the next one at you, and it tends to be a little bit sketchy. So I think the trick is not actually go to the back row. And then the only other trick is, if it's on the bottom 2 tiles, you're going to stay all the way at the top. And if it's on the top 2 tiles, you're going to just slide all the way to the bottom. And that's it. There's no other middle ground, anything like that. Those are my only 2 rules. If it's on the bottom half, stay up top. And if it's on the top half, go down bottom. That's it. That one's on the top half. That one's on the bottom half. That's it. That's all there's to it. We'll wait for her purple barrier to leave, and then we'll start doing more damage. All right. Now we're on to the creme de la creme, the diagonal attacks. Esty, what do we do? Well, this is going to be kind of like a long description, if you will, with a bunch of different tips in it, and you guys take what you want from it. Again, we could always go over the obvious answer, but the obvious answer doesn't actually help you while you're in battle, panicking, and dealing with a lot of other hazards. Those things are all of a sudden not as obvious. So the obvious thing that we could say is when Reva shoots out an attack, almost like a bishop in chess, where that diagonal has to cater to that diagonal. It can never change tiles, if you will. So if you imagine for a second that this is a chessboard or a checkerboard, once Reva shoots the diagonal out, it's on this file, and it can never change. Ever, 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 ever. Which means that if this was a chessboard or checkerboard, everyone that's not this color, or this tile, or this diagonal, is safe. So that means this tile is safe, this tile is safe, this tile is safe, this tile is safe, every other tile is safe. Again, that would be the obvious answer, because that just makes sense and the diagonals can't change. But again, this stuff doesn't really help you in the frantic, fast-paced nature of the game. So we'll give you guys some other tips to look for. So now that we know that the diagonals are stuck on that diagonal, right? They're stuck on that plane. So what we're going to do is remember some certain rules. So if Reva is touching one of the walls, we know that she's also going to shoot one straight because they can't both bounce. I know just from muscle memory that if she's in the very corner tile, one of them goes straight diagonal and he's always going to hit your corner. So if she's in the front corner of her playing field, then you can't be in the back corner of your playing field. So you're going to move one forward. And then I kind of cater to there. Again, this is a tricky attack, and it's all about just getting used to it and not panicking. Another trick that I want you guys to take away from this, especially while you're in your hallway fights and you're dealing with diagonal attacks, things are not that easy to calculate. So the trick here is I see a lot of people getting hit with these diagonals and then panicking. They're trying to dodge them. Oh, I got hit by one, and they run into more. And the real trick is if you are getting hit with one of the diagonals, all you need to do is move backwards one tile or forwards one tile. That's it. All right, so you can see she's throwing a bunch of different attacks. As she starts to get weaker, she's throwing her diagonals, but she's also throwing one straight. So you never kind of like want to be in a straight line from her, especially at the higher tier Reva. Well, these tricks will carry over to any diagonal attacks in the game, and you'll understand what's going on. So you can see that, again, these diagonals are stuck on this diagonal, and we're in the right corner here, right? And so it can't hit us, no matter what. Once I know that this is a safe corner, I can also jump forward, right? We can always go to the same color, if you will, if this was a checkerboard. So we can jump 2 tiles forward, or we can jump to our diagonal. And if we do that, we will always be safe. Why this is important? Let's say we're in a normal battle, right? And we can't just hug the back wall. all of a sudden it becomes very important to know what tiles are safe. Let's say we're battling other people in a hallway fight and we're fighting the diagonal guys, it becomes a lot more important to dodge other things as well. So what happens here is, let's say we're in the middle of the playing field and they shoot diagonals past us. Once we find that safe tile, that tile is going to stay safe. So hypothetically, let's say Reva shot out this attack, but let's say this was a normal hallway fight. So I found that this tile's safe, right? And so now we're busy fighting other people. So we're dodging. Maybe we're just keeping an eye on making somebody else, making sure that somebody else doesn't attack us from the back. These can't change. These can't change the diagonal. So knowing that should give you some ease of mind, knowing that this tile is going to be safe even when these diagonals return, even when they return. And we also know that if we were in a normal hallway fight, that if we skipped to every other tile, that tile will also be safe. So that's one less thing to worry about in those crazy fights when they get really hectic. And these are the tricks that I use. Once you find a safe tile, you know that that tile's safe even when the diagonals return, and you can begin to ignore them. So it's one less thing to worry about. Again, if you are getting hit by the diagonal, the trick is to not panic and either move one tile back or one tile forward. That's it. If they're hitting you, you can also move one tile up or one tile down, but whatever suits you. But the real thing to take out of this is that they're not going to change their diagonal, and you don't need to panic. If you're getting hit, just move one tile and you will be safe. You could just stand there. Maybe they just shot them out and you're getting hit, and then you're panicking even more because they're going to bounce and come back around. And here's a really good example. We're going to slow this one down as much as we can here. Here's a really good example. Imagine, so these are hitting crazy angles, right? They're going to keep bouncing around. So this is the time where you would normally panic as a player in a normal hallway fight. So the trick here is, even if we get hit, we're going to move one tile. So here I am, both of these diagonals are going to hit me. The trick is that you always want to move one tile. And it's going to be even more the case if you're in a normal hallway fight and you're towards the beginning of the playing field. If you're in the front of the playing field, you really need to know those safe tiles, so when they on the returning visit, you don't need to worry about them. You're busy worrying about other things. And these are the little tricks I learned. So again, there's other tricks that you can learn, but in the heat of a battle, those tricks are not going to be as easy to find. So really just know the safe tips. The only real other attack that Reva throws at you that a lot of you know is her shield barrier one. Well, she will do the amount of damage of her shield and she will throw it at you. You can either burst the shield down, in which case you can just keep attacking her and she won't attack you for anything, or you can just move out of the way. I go with the move out of the way strat most of the time, and then I attack her after. Because what happens here is, if you're using all of your good spells on her shield and she's soaking it up and then you move out of the way, you just wasted all those spells. Or you can just wait until she's done and then attack her. So that's what I normally go with, unless I have a high damage deck, and then I may try to destroy her shield. One last trick with the seismic wave that I want to point out is that if you have some kind of spell that pushes her back, you're going to have an even bigger opening to attack her. And this is pretty big. So if you know she's going to go for this attack and you push her to the back of her field, she still has to wait for the seismic waves to come all the way to your side. And this will give you all plenty of time to just really dish out the pain. So if you manage to score one of those hits, you are going to rip her apart. Just another little tip and trick for you guys. Guys, I hope that helped. If anything to take out of this video is the diagonal attacks are going to be tricky, especially on the fly when you don't know where they're coming from, or you can't watch exactly where they're coming from, especially in hallway fights or the Reva fight, right? There's no magic to it. At the end, you could just sum up where she's throwing them from and all the safe tiles, but you don't have time for this. You don't have time to do that in a battle. So just giving you those little tips and tricks, and that's why this is such a complicated guide to give you guys. It's really just about adapting. And the biggest trick I can take, you can take from this is, if you're getting hit, just move one tile back, move one tile forward, move one tile to the side, and all of a sudden you're safe. Or if you get hit on their when they're coming out to your side, you can find the safe tile and then ignore them on their return trip, so it's one less thing to worry about. And those would be the biggest tips that I can give you guys that I see a lot of people mess up on. Again, I hope this Reva guide helped you. This is one of the trickier boss fights because there's no consistent strat I can really give you depending on what Reva is throwing at you. But I hope that this gave you some guidance and help. Cheers.